Most of you guys should know who I am if you've been coming to Journey Youth for a little while. My name is Haston. I'm one of the... Yeah, thank you. Yep, thank you. So, a little bit about me. I was in the Army. I just got out this past September. I spent 3 years over in Germany, and I was a cavalry scout, which means that I was forward reconnaissance. So, the main guys you think of fighting the war, I was out ahead of them, sort of eyes and ears out of the battlefield. But more than that, the thing I'm probably the most proud of from my time in the military is I was a paratrooper. So paratroopers, if you don't know, if you've ever seen videos of when the plane flies over and you just see soldier after soldier after soldier jumping out and it's just a bunch of parachutes, that was me. So we would jump out of planes into the battlefield, combat equipped, ready to go. And in airborne school, because it's a 3-week school you have to go to be qualified to be a paratrooper, to be airborne. And the biggest thing they taught us was trust your equipment, trust your equipment, trust your equipment, trust your equipment, constantly telling us that that's the number one thing that's going to get you out of the plane. Because at the end of the day, you have to make a decision to trust your equipment. It's not that you're not just going to feel that sort of belief and trust in it. You're going to have to make a decision that I'm going to jump out of this plane that's 1,300 feet above the ground, moving 200 miles an hour, and I'm going to trust that this parachute is going to get me to the ground safely. And so that's sort of the where I got my title for this. And then go to the next slide. So some of what the other equipment I was using, just as a scout, we were a combat arms job, and so I would be wearing this right here. You can see my plate carrier, which ballistic plate carrier, bulletproof vest, same thing. And then over here we see my medic, and so he had all kinds of equipment. My friend Momo there was his nickname. Wearing the helmet, I'm wearing a gunner's harness. I brought some other things here, like the tourniquet. This right here, number one lifesaver on the battlefield. This right here, compass. Also, one of the biggest lifesavers on the battlefield because you don't have service out there. You got to know how to get around using just this. And so, moving forward to the next slide, there was, as a paratrooper, as you might expect, most important piece of equipment is the parachute. Otherwise, you're going to fall really fast, a lot more than you intend to. And so this right here, with the yellow cord, the big thing, that's just like a giant backpack. That's what you're wearing as your parachute. It's called a static line parachute, meaning you hook up in the plane. So as soon as you jump out, I don't pull anything. It's automatically pulled for me. And if that fails, then right there with the red handle, that's your reserve parachute. So if your primary, your main parachute, we'd call it, fails, then you have your reserve parachute. And here I have the static line. This is what we'd use. This part right here with the gray end, that's attached to your parachute. Then there's a hook that goes on here, and you hook it up in the parachute. So if this thing fails, I'm going to be falling very, very fast. And like I said, that was the number one thing they taught us. Trust your equipment. Trust your equipment. It's going to be fine. It's all about building confidence. But you're not just going to feel it. You're jumping from a plane. You're jumping from 1,300 feet in the air. You're not going to feel confident doing that unless you choose to feel confident. So the next slide is you can see that's what you'd look like fully rigged up. Let's call it fully combat equipped. So he's got his rucksack right there, and then the little gray pouch on his side. That's his weapons case. And then that's what it looks like when the parachute's open and you're descending safely. And so the biggest thing when it comes to trusting your equipment is do not panic. Trusting your equipment doesn't mean nothing bad's going to happen. All right? There's been times when I got out of the plane and all of a sudden my suspension lines, which are running right about here, they're all twisted up. And so I'm falling a little bit faster than I should be. So what they teach us, trust your equipment. Don't panic. There's a way to do it. There's a way to fix it. There was a story, one of my platoon sergeants, he jumped out, and he looked up, and his parachute was just a straight line above him. Did not open up at all. And he eventually got it worked out, got it fixed, got back down, and we asked him, we're like, Sergeant Ham, what happened? How did you fix it? He was like, I knew it was going to be fine. He's like, it's just took a little bit longer, but he's like, I just did exactly what we're supposed to do, the same thing we trained, and I trusted my equipment. So this next, there's a video, and it's exactly what it looks like from the point of view in the airplane, what it looks like to jump. It's hectic. It's loud, and it doesn't get any less terrifying. So that was what it was like jumping out of the airplane. Those of you who might know, if you are big into history and stuff, you might know that was an old video because the uniforms were old, but nothing's changed protocol-wise. That's exactly how we do it. That's exactly what we go through. And so moving forward is there's a lot of athletes in here. Who's an athlete in here? Yeah? Anybody play football? Football. What do you use in football? Give me some, what equipment you use. Helmet, pads, what else? Cleats, mouth guard. So let's say that you have really terrible coaches who are terrible at their job, and they just let you go out onto the field to play not wearing any of that. What's going to happen? Yeah, it's not going to be a good day. So let's say you do wear it, you go out there, and you have zero faith that it's going to help you. You think that you might as well be wearing nothing, no equipment, no pads, no helmet, no cleats, nothing. You can go out there in shorts, t-shirt, Birkenstocks. You think it's going to do the same thing. Are you going to play different? Are you going to play worse? Why? Yeah, you're going to be scared. You're going to be scared. But if you've never, let's say you got a fresh new helmet, new set of shoulder pads, they've not been played with yet. Are you going to play timid like that? No. Why? Yeah, you know it's going to protect you. But have you seen it do that yet? You haven't seen it do that yet, have you? You're choosing to trust your equipment. You're not letting that feeling come to you. You're not waiting for that faith in the helmet and the pads and whatever you're using to just happen, to just feel it. You're making a choice. I'm going to believe that this is going to help me. I'm going to believe that this is going to keep me safe. So as Christ followers, as Christians, what would you say our equipment is? Give me some examples. What is our equipment? Bible. What else? Microphone. Utensil. What about like your faith? What about confidence, courage, prayer? It's not all physical things, right? I mean, you saw in the video there was someone who comes down the line when everyone's standing there with their suspension line hooked up. He comes and he checks every single thing, right? I would argue that's also equipment. That's called a jump master who's trained to make sure everything is lined up, rigged up, set up exactly the way it's supposed to be, right? Who does that for us? Jesus, thank you. And so, if you have your Bible, you can go ahead and turn to Matthew chapter 14. We're going to be going through verses 22 through 33. And this was a big day. All right? This is the story most of you probably have heard. It's when Jesus walked on the water. You can see it in pretty much all of the gospel, but this is the version in Matthew. It's the most well-known version, and well, that I've heard at least. And so it is, but this whole day, this isn't the only thing that happened this day. So have you guys heard of John the Baptist, right? John the Baptist, he baptized Jesus in the River Jordan. He was imprisoned by Herod, the ruler in that area at the time, and he was beheaded for his faith, for his belief in Jesus. And this is the same day that his disciples came and told Jesus that his friend, someone he was very close to and was dear to him, John the Baptist, had been killed for his faith and for his belief. It's the same day. So Jesus, it goes on. I'm not going to go through all of the verses leading up to this, but it says he goes to the desolate place and the multitudes follow him, and that's the story of when Jesus feeds the 5,000. Is they followed him, and he feeds the 5,000. Same day. Still going on. And then that's where we pick up here, is after he feeds the 5,000. It goes into verse 22. I'll go ahead and read. It says, immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. So one little side note, this isn't really anything to do with the overall thing, but isn't it kind of crazy that Jesus, the only perfect man to ever live, the Son of God, went through a pretty sad moment. Something pretty hard, someone dear to him, killed, murdered for his faith. And he's like, I need to take a moment. I'm going to go by myself and pray. So if he's not too good to be like, oh, I'm not too tough. I'm going to go over here. I need time alone. I need to spend time with God and not with you guys. He's not saying, leave me alone. He's saying, I need to be in solitude, speaking with God. That's just a separate thought. But anyways, so on the next slide you'll see a map of, this is the Sea of Galilee. And so over here, this red dot right here, or if you're looking up on the screen, is the lowest one. That's where he fed the 5,000. That's sort of where the desolate place was. And the Sea of Galilee, the whole thing, it's this lake. And it's the second lowest lake by elevation in the world. It's 700 feet below sea level. And so you can kind of tell on the map on the left that it's almost like in a bowl where all of the hills and mountains come down. And so because of that, it gets these crazy storms, winds come in just out of nowhere. The weather will just change. It's like bad storms. And that's what he's talking about when he says the wind was against them. I mean, these are experienced fishermen. They know how to sail. They lived here their whole lives. But they were struggling into the fourth watch of the night, which the fourth watch of the night, if you didn't know, that was between 3 to 6 a.m. because the Roman military, they would divide the night from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 4 watches, 3 hours each. So the fourth watch, they've been fighting against these waves for 9 hours. For 9 hours, they've been fighting against these waves. They've been trying to get where they need to go because, I mean, you can see, this is where he sent them, is Bethsaida, right up here. So they're not even going across the lake. They're just basically taking a faster mode of travel to get from there to there. And they were pushed about 3 miles across because it was about 5 miles across, like wide, where they were, and they were about 3 miles in. So more than halfway across the lake when they didn't even need to cross it at all. For 9 hours, they've been fighting this. So they're tired. They're probably scared. And so, going forward into verse 24. So this is whenever Jesus walks up to them. He says, "But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, 'It is a ghost,' and they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, 'Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid.'" Immediately. Key word. Immediately he spoke to them. He didn't wait for them to be like, "Oh, I think that's Jesus. Maybe it's not a good..." No. Immediately he's going to comfort you. Immediately he comforts us. Immediately he comforts his disciples. And he doesn't just say, "Hey guys, it's me." He doesn't just say, "It is I." What else did he say? Mm-hmm. Yeah, take heart. Take courage. If he wanted to encourage them just so they feel better, just so they feel a little bit more confident, just so they feel better, why did he need to add, "Take heart"? Why did he have to add, "Do not be afraid"? He's telling them to do something. He's not telling them to feel something. He's telling them to do something. He's saying, "Choose courage. Choose to be brave right now. Choose to have faith over fear. They are not going to coexist. You can't just feel the faith in me." And so that's into my first point, that he encouraged during the storm. Again, immediately encouraged. He immediately will encourage us during the storm. He's immediately going to call out to us. He's not calming the storm. He's giving you courage during the storm, courage to walk through it, right? And so, again, it's not only that they should trust Jesus. Don't just be encouraged because I'm here. Be encouraged that because I am here, there's nothing that can go wrong that's any worse than what I can fix. That's good. Jesus calls us to choose, not just to simply feel. And then he continues to encourage us. So that's our first piece of equipment that I'm talking about, is courage. Is courage. And so then further in verse 28, it says, "And Peter answered him, 'Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.' He said, 'Come.' So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus." I think a lot of times we sort of forget and we lose the idea that we can ask God for confirmation in our faith. It's not a lack of faith to ask God like, "I need encouragement." It's not a lack of faith to say, "Hey, God, I need to know that this is you." But what did he do? He said, "Come out onto the water with me." He didn't calm the storm. If you've heard any stories from the Bible, you've probably heard of pillars of fire. Fire and brimstone coming from the sky. Other times when he does calm the storm, he could have done any one of those things to just prove, yeah, look at the power I have. No, he didn't just confirm his faith, he encouraged his faith. So that way Peter could walk out and know that it's not just God's power, it's God's power working through me. I'm walking out with him. But he encouraged him to choose that. He didn't encourage him to feel that. He said, yeah, you're going to choose faith with me, and you're going to walk out on this water. You're going to step out and walk to me, and it's all going to be all right. Storm's still not calm. Storm's still not calm. He answered during the storm. Again, Peter stepped out onto stormy waters. He encouraged his faith. He didn't just do a show of power. Because he gave more strength to Peter than the storm had. He has more power than any storm has. Yes, he does. And so a lot of times we go on, and in my life, there were times when I was in the Army, and it was rough, a bad time. And I was, struggling a lot. And I would think, how could a loving God possibly let me go through this? How could any loving God allow this to happen? Because I kept asking God. I was like, God, where are you at? What's going on? And he was there. I was like, why is my storm not calm? Why is the enemy attacking me? What's going on? He's not there. And he was there. He wasn't there to calm the storm. He was there to give me more power than the storm had. No, that's good. That's good. Right? So if you come to church on Sundays, you've probably heard Pastor Steve say, God is not a God of confusion. So in doing that, in encouraging faith and not just confirming it, there's zero room for confusion. Zero misinterpretation. It's very clear this is exactly who I am and exactly what you can do when you allow me to work through you. And so that's our second piece of equipment. It's prayer. It's prayer. And so verse 30 says, "But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, 'O you of little faith, why did you doubt?' And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, 'Truly you are the Son of God.'" Again, think of the kind of what I described, the storms they're going through here. It's not just a little breeze, because it keeps saying the wind, but think storm. It's like ridiculous winds that experienced fishermen who know how to sail a boat are fighting against for 9 hours and are significantly further away than they need to be. So when he saw the wind, it's not that he looked away and saw the wind. He's like, oh, wait, there's wind over there. No, he's going to see it either way. This story could have played out the exact same way and just take out he was afraid. Because he stopped thinking about what God can do through him, and he's like, oh, I'm not stronger than this storm. I know Jesus is, but I'm not. Correct. Peter's not stronger than the storm. Jesus is. Peter doesn't have power over the storm. Jesus does. So what does Jesus say? Why did you doubt? You have little faith. Why did you doubt? Why did you stop letting my power flow through you and start relying on your own power? I'm here. You got to choose to have faith. You got to choose to believe. You got to choose to trust that. He requires our focus during the storm. Peter didn't lose his belief. He lost his belief. He didn't lose his faith. He lost his focus. He stopped choosing courage, and he started waiting to feel courage. Because, if you read again, Jesus didn't say, oh, you have no faith. Oh, you without faith. Oh, you have little faith. Peter had faith. Peter believed in Jesus. I think a lot of times we think that's just enough to get us through whatever. Oh, I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christ believer. Or you'll say, oh, I'm a Christ follower. Are you a Christ follower, or are you just a Christ believer? Do you follow Christ, or do you believe in Christ? Are you feeling that emotion? Are you feeling encouraged? Are you waiting for it to happen to you against your will? Or are you choosing it? Are you embracing it? Are you allowing him to work through you? Are you thinking about his power through you over your power next to him? Because your power next to him pales in comparison. Will never be sufficient. It is a constant and continuous choice. Because Peter made the decision, I'm going to step out of the boat, I'm going to walk out to him, but he didn't keep choosing. Every single step he made was a choice. And somewhere along the way, he stopped making that choice. It's not a one and done. The storm is still there. Or if you change storm to enemy, the enemy is going to distract you. Another thing, if you come on Sundays, you've probably heard Pastor Steve say, if the enemy can't make you stumble, if he can't make you fall, he will make you busy. Peter was busy. Peter was looking at a lot going on. And he was really thinking about how powerful that storm was. Which compared to us, yeah, a lot of power. I can't fight a storm, but God can. I can't go against the wind. I can't walk on water, but Jesus can. And so he's encouraging our faith. He's not just fixing our problems. He's giving you more power than any problem could possibly have against you. And so then again, reading back over those verses again, says, when they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshiped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. Again, Jesus immediately reached out and took hold of his hand. As soon as Peter called out, Lord, save me, he grabbed his hand. Peter was sinking. He didn't calm the storm. He helped them up during the storm. And he provided stability during the storm. And then walked back with Peter during the storm. On the stormy waters, on turbulent waters. He provided greater strength than that of the storm. He didn't weaken the storm below us. He empowers us above the storm. And when did the wind stop? Somebody answer. When did the wind stop? When they got back in the boat. It didn't stop any time before that. God doesn't always just promise us, oh, I'm going to fix all your problems. Oh, I'm just going to destroy the problem. I'm just going to get rid of the problem. No, I'm going to empower you far greater. I'm going to give you my power so you can go through any problem, and it's not going to, doesn't mean anything to you. Doesn't mean the problem's not there. Just means it's something you don't have to worry about anymore. He gives you more power than anything else could go against you. And again, I keep underlining the sort of piece of equipment here, but the big word, another big word that's in every single one of these points is he encouraged during the storm. He answered during the storm. He helped Peter up during the storm. He walked with Peter during the storm. He didn't calm the storm until they were back in the boat. If you go, I'm not going to pull it up, but if you go and read on your own in John chapter 9, verses, the whole chapter, but especially verses 1 through 5, they come across a blind man, and his disciples, they ask him, they call him rabbi, and they say, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he should be born blind? Like, whose fault is it that he was blind? Someone had to have sinned, and he had to have deserved this. And so what Jesus says is, it's not that his parents sinned. It's not that he sinned. He didn't earn this. He's blind so that the works of God, so that the works of the Father, so that my works can be shown through him. How much more encouraging is it that Peter was empowered above the storm rather than the storm wiped away? How encouraging is it that we're given power above whatever problem, whatever enemy, whatever storm in our life, that we're empowered above that more than it could ever, like, rather than just wiping it away. And so, sort of, if you, hey, Rob, you can turn back to Matthew chapter 7, and then verses 24 through 27. This is in the Sermon on the Mount, so one of the most famous sermons of all time. And so, starting in verse 24, it says, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock." So you guys remember the whole series on James? You guys did? Lachlan, what's one of the things he talked about? What else? Be a doer of the word. Are you a Christ believer or are you a Christ follower? Do you just believe that Jesus existed? Do you just believe that he can do those things? Or are you allowing him and choosing faith in those things and choosing courage in those things and choosing to let him work those things out? Verse 25, "And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." Storm came to both houses. Jesus didn't say, those of you who hear these words of mine and do them, you're going to be great. Nothing bad's going to ever happen to you in life. Because I talked about it earlier. John the Baptist, for his faith, he was martyred. There's one disciple that wasn't martyred for his faith. One. Jesus didn't promise you nothing bad's going to happen to you. He promised you he's going to empower you far greater than anything that could happen to you. That you're going to get through it. He doesn't call us to feel faithful. He doesn't call us to feel good. He doesn't call us to feel courageous. He calls us to intentional faith, to chosen faith, to choose belief, to choose courage, to choose to let him answer. how he's going to answer, not how we want him to answer, right? All right, so now we're going to go into small groups. And I think that's it, right? Yeah. Thank you. Guys, go ahead.